It was hard for me the first time I experienced bias in the workplace from my own boss, who was also a Black woman. Not that I hadn't experienced it before, but this time just really hit different. It was even harder for me when I had to have a conversation with my 4-year-old daughter and share with her that this world does not love her. But how these experiences would shape me into the woman that I am today, I am even more proud of. So, how do you break the bias that you experience being a Black woman? Initially in my career, I had trouble speaking up and speaking out against the bias that I had experienced in the workplace. It was my second job out of college, and I was so excited. I had just landed what felt like a big girl job. I was even more excited when I found out that my boss, who experienced life just like I did, was a Black woman. I looked forward to the conversations we would have where she would be able to mentor me and help me to navigate my professional career. I knew a lot of people, and out of all the people that she would get me, but instead it was total opposite. She had placed unfair assumptions on me. She bullied me. She even told me that I didn't have the right look to work in corporate America and that people would not take me seriously. This experience with her really damaged my self-confidence in my profession and ultimately caused me to put in my resignation letter because my time was way too precious to spend it with someone that didn't make me feel my best. I also recall saying those dreadful words, I don't ever want to work for another Black woman. Now, when I think back on that experience, it really crushed my heart because I'm a Black woman. And while I was working in corporate America at that time, I aspired to be in leadership. I one day wanted to own my own company. So, how would I feel if another Black woman shared those same sentiments that she didn't want to work for me because I'm a Black woman? I had always hoped that if I had to do life again, I would handle that situation differently. I was a person that I wanted to shy away from conflict, and conflict is not a bad thing, and I just really had to get comfortable talking about the uncomfortable. And how do you do that? You find yourself in more uncomfortable situations. And if I just could have spoken up and stood up for myself, maybe I could have avoided the next Black woman working for her and the trouble that they may have, with unfair assumptions placed on them. One thing I told myself, from here on out, I'm going to use my voice and I'm going to speak up and speak out against things that I know are wrong. Now, it didn't always happen, or it didn't happen exactly that way. I had to have some real life experiences in order to, feel comfortable and where that actually felt natural for me to speak up and speak out. And when I say I could still say that it still doesn't feel natural, it still is uncomfortable at times. But there is something about motherhood that really just puts that oomph in your step, right? Like you just feel like the things I couldn't do for myself, I will make sure I can do it for my children. I've been blessed to be the mother of 4 beautiful Black little girls, ages 11, 8, and 4-year-old twins. So as you can imagine, my home is super dramatic. There's a lot of emotions flying around. And as you can see, I've locked up my hair because I could not fathom doing 5 heads in the morning. And I had to reclaim my time somewhere. And by the way, this was the best decision I could have ever made. I'm really hoping and waiting for one of my daughters to tell me that they are ready to start their lock journey so that we can make life a lot easier. But nonetheless, I am learning so much about myself through the eyes of my daughters. And this has just been a really amazing experience thus far. So I'm getting a lot of practice in this discussion around breaking the bias because it is my civic duty as their mother to make sure that my daughters know how to stand up for themselves, but also that conversation doesn't stop until every Black woman in this world is treated equally. and we've got a lot of work to do. When my oldest daughter was just 4 years old, my husband and I were looking at private school institutions because we wanted to afford her the best education. We live in St. Louis, Missouri, in the metropolitan area, and our private schools are really good in the area. So while searching, we found the perfect match. It was a school where we felt like our baby girl could thrive, where she could, and she could at times be very timid and soft spoken. And this school was going to really challenge her to use her voice and really focus on building our future leaders. The only thing I questioned about the school was the diversity, because when I toured the school and the classroom that she would be joining, I saw no one in that classroom that looked like her. But I figured, we could offset it because we lived in the city and we lived in a pretty diverse area. I will never forget her first day of school. And, me being the mom that I am, I was super excited. I could not wait to pick her up and just ask her, like, how was her first day? I was really hoping that she had met some friends and that this transition was going to be easy for her. And to my surprise, when I picked her up and asked her, how was your first day of school? She remembered a little girl in my class came up to me and asked me why my skin was brown. And then she told me she couldn't play with me because my skin was brown. When I tell you my heart sank, it sank. I was absolutely furious. I had a mix of emotions going through me. Part of me wanted to cry because how am I supposed to have this conversation with my 4-year-old? Would she even be able to comprehend racism? And this other kid, I'm wondering, who are her parents? Because this is a learned behavior. And I might just have to purposely run into them in the parking lot. The other part of me, I was ready to pull her out of school. But I knew that this was something that we would have to address either way. So regardless if I took her out of school or she stayed, I still had to have this conversation with my daughter. I still had to talk to her about, her skin and how beautiful she is. And no matter what anybody has to say about you, you are worthy. You deserve to be here. And that she's a beautiful person, and anybody in her friend circle will be blessed to have her as a friend. But then also that if they don't want to be your friend, they're lost, right? And as uncomfortable as it would be, it really needed to happen. I just didn't think it would happen that soon in her life. So of course, I did what any other mother would do. I contacted the school. I told them about the situation, and I told them about the seriousness of it too. And that, we need to have more difficult conversations like this with other kids, and the importance of letting these children know that, hey, we are all different and we come from all different backgrounds and walks of life, but it's important that you be kind to one another. And I also expressed my concern about the diversity in the school, right? My daughter needs to see other people that look like her. She felt so alone in that moment, and she had no one to turn to or talk to, and nobody else that knew what it was that she was experiencing. I will say I was more than impressed with how the school handled the situation, and then their focus on diversity being a priority for years to come. It gave me a little comfort. But I did notice a sadness in my daughter. I noticed something happening in her internally where she wanted to feel included, wanted to belong, wanted to feel wanted. But isn't that so many of us Black women that experience this throughout our careers, where you're working as an entrepreneur or working in corporate America, and you've been in rooms where you did not feel wanted or where you had to prove that you were worthy to have a seat at the table, even though you are worthy? And in the words of our great sister Rihanna, a lot of these companies were built on the backs of Black women anyway. So I knew that this would be an opportunity for me. I needed to take a stand and commit to breaking the bias for myself, my daughters, and generations to come. And this is how Black Girl Motivation was birthed. Black Girl Motivation was created because I wanted all Black girls and women to be inspired, empowered, uplifted, and motivated daily, because we experience so many hardships throughout our lives. And if I could just use my voice and other Black girls and women's voices, we could begin to change the trajectory of Black women being silenced and instill life, power, value, and worth in one another. So, how am I using Black Girl Motivation to continue this charge and breaking the bias against Black girls and women? While Black Girl Motivation is a technology company, it's been my focus to make sure my business is getting the exposure it needs to position itself to reach Black girls and women from all over, not just through technology. My background is in technology. I built a technology company. However, I know that there are areas that I lack experience and knowledge in. And I position myself to be in rooms where, because I might lack that experience and knowledge, I want to get some additional exposure. I want to make sure to find organizations where I can join their board. And most times this is minimal commitment to you. However, this could be a major breakthrough in your business. For me, I joined a board at a local school where we serve underrepresented communities. So now I have exposure to more Black girls that need daily positivity. I want to encourage you to break the bias by not limiting yourself and your business to just your area of expertise. If you own a beauty business, there is room for you in education too. For me, I am still working a 9-to-5. So while I'm also running my own business, over the course of these last couple of years, a lot of companies have really put a lot of focus on employee resource groups where they have a specific focus. So like Blacks in your companies, Asians in your companies, and so on and so forth. And I've been able to utilize these groups at my company as well as other companies because of my focus on empowering Black women. This is another way I'm breaking the bias to ensure we all have the tools to speak up for ourselves. I've learned that, to make my job work for me. And if you're in the same boat as I am, working a 9-to-5 while also leading your own business, I encourage you to do the same. Make your job work for you. Another way that I'm making my job work for me is continuing to break that bias is being very strategic about my career decisions. I position myself into roles that serve a dual purpose. And while they benefit my company, they also benefit my business too. I've been afforded the opportunity to attend different conferences specific to my area of expertise that has put me in rooms with people that I probably would have never been in rooms with. And to be able to open up the conversation about Black Girl Motivation and how we are empowering, uplifting, and motivating Black girls and women around the world. And I encourage you to do the same. I didn't recognize this at the time. And most times we don't recognize it, right? We don't recognize it until we go through what we have to go through. But that traumatic experience my daughter had at just 4 years old, mixed with my own unfortunate experiences, in my life and in my career, will be exactly what I needed to build my own brand, Black Girl Motivation. The great thing about it is I've been able to include my daughters in this movement. And my once timid, soft-spoken little girl, I've seen her confidence jump through the roof. And just being proud that she's a Black girl. And I've also seen it in my other daughters too. My youngest being 4 years old, because we empower them so much in our home and we talk about the uncomfortable conversations. My daughters are being equipped and, prepared to conquer this world. And if you have an opportunity to take a young Black girl under your wings, do it. We have to stop saying pass the torch to our young Black girls and light the torch for them. I'm going to leave with this because I'm doing my due diligence by making sure my daughters continue the conversation and empower and uplift one another. Our youngest Black girls are watching us, and I know this because my 4-year-olds are watching too. This is really a full circle moment for me because I share with you guys about the experience that my oldest daughter experienced when she was 4 and the racial bias that she went through. But now my 4-year-old is one of my 4-year-olds. I'm going to share a video clip with you guys, or audio clip. And so I want to share this with you guys because this was a full circle moment for me. And, I shed a tear afterwards because I thought about what my oldest went through and just thinking about my youngest now. And I am more than confident that I know that she would handle that situation differently if she was at school and someone told her they didn't want to play with her because of the color of her skin. So I will play this really quick. Go back. Are you a Black girl, Rosie? Yeah. Yeah. You like being a Black girl? Yeah. Go back, 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 girl. Better go, Black girl. You're a beautiful Black girl. Yeah, and you too. Thank you, baby. That's so sweet. So that was a video or audio of me while I was doing my 4-year-old daughter's hair. And, she just started singing out of nowhere. And the message is so powerful. Go Black girl. And we have so much work to do. And our young Black girls are watching us. And it's important that we pull them up with us. Before I leave, I do want to share a message with you guys from my mobile app, Black Girl Motivation. And I'll leave you guys with this. Hey, sis, the Black woman who does not require validation from anyone is the most feared individual on the planet. And I want you guys to remember this because you are worthy, you are valuable, and you deserve to be here. Thank you.
Oh.
You're crying, Nicole?
Just a little tear, just a little bit.
Sis, that video just
Man.
I don't have words. Anything you want to say right now?
Boy, wow. Okay, these last 2 days, I'll just start with this. This is my first Blaze Summit. I didn't know I needed this as much as I did. Like, it has just been so insightful and just an opportunity to just like, hey, like these are some things, some patterns that you're seeing in your own life that you may need to change. And I'm just so fortunate to be here. And I thank you. I love the chat because I'm seeing all of your comments and I see people who are experiencing the same things I talked about in my message. And I'm here for you, sis. Like, you are not alone. I'll just say this because while we're talking about bringing community together, right? Like, and it's so important for us to have community. We also need to be mindful of those that don't want to see you succeed, that don't want to see you do well, right? And I'm a lot older now, so I can go back and see that person was reflecting, projecting on me when they were saying those nasty things about me and that I would never be anything in life, right? But it's something, right? Like, you have to go through that journey and that experience till you get to that place and you learn what you need to learn. And even going through it with my daughter, which was so painful, and it took a long time to get her to a place where she didn't want to be validated by the white person, right? Or when she was in a classroom, even though they start bringing in more diverse students, but she would still gravitate towards the other students, right? And I'm like, well, why is she playing with the Black kids? Like, so just those things. And it took us a while to get her to a place where she loved the skin that she was in. So just thank you for this platform. I appreciate you so, so, so much. I really do.
Likewise, sis, we must be looking at mirrors right now because I appreciate you just as deeply. I'm gonna ask every single person that is in this session to write out words of affirmation directly towards Nicole right now. It could be one word, it could be a full sentence, it could be a paragraph. Flood her right now with affirmations. And as they do this, sis, and as you read this, I want to tell them a story about you. I met Nicole Claire through the Fearless Fun Summit some months ago on a spreadsheet on a Google Doc. And introducing ourselves to each other, she invited me to go on her app and put in an affirmation that Black girls could read. Man. Oh, I mean, the concept alone, I'm like, oh, this cold right here. And I did it. In doing it, I was affirming myself. I was talking to the little Black girl inside of me. And sis, for me to hear your baby girl's voice affirming herself, I'm talking about you are experiencing things that we've never even dreamt of, because we've been saying, I want my children to be free. You went from your first baby to your little baby.
Right.
That is phenomenal. That is phenomenal. And now you are exponentially doing that for the world. Like, you cold, sis. You cold.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
I honor you. And I'm going to read these to you, Mama. Okay? The chat. Nicole, you are amazing. You are compassion, Nicole. You are beautiful. You are worthy of an equal exchange of positive energy. Nicole, thank you for everything you poured into your daughters and Black girls. Nicole, you are enough. Nicole, you are a powerhouse. Nicole, you are worthy, Black queen. Nicole, you are powerful. You are so powerful, queen. Continue to conquer this world. Nicole, you are the embodiment of what we as Black women are called to be. Nicole, you are light. Nicole, you are wondrously made, sis. You are an amazing mommy. Thank you for pouring into your little Black girl and teaching her that power is inside of her, not inside of how others see her. Nicole, you are needed. Nicole, you are powerful. You are a great mother. You deserve the flowers, sis. You deserve the flowers, sis.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So now I'm going to bring someone on stage to ask what they want to ask of you, or to speak whatever they want to speak into you. First, I'm going to bring up Chandrell, and then right after that, Alexis Miller. You are next.
How you doing, Queen? How are you? I love what you've done. Just to see how you've taken your situation and you turn that into your superpower. And I notice as Black women, that's what we have a tendency to do. We take what seems to be bad and we make it for good. We turn it into good. And I have a Black young queen myself who is 9 years old. And I feel that, with the Barbie dolls that they create, and, not really seeing themselves in the things that they're seeing on TV and things like that. And, basically them just kind of conforming to these ways of people who are not like them. And, I also have struggles as far as just trying to teach my daughter, love yourself. You don't need makeup. You don't need those things, and I think she had seen me kind of go through that phase of trying to find myself as well, until I actually locked my own hair. She hasn't quite gotten there yet, but she's like, she sees her mom embracing her naturalness, and I want her to also embrace that. But another thing, our thing, it's not, we don't have the exact situation, but kind of similar. I feel like it's still relatable. My son, he's delayed in his learning and everything. And it was a situation where he's playing outside, and somebody called him retarded. And it broke my heart, it really broke me down, because as a mom, you want to defend your baby,
Yes.
you know, and that broke me down. That crushed my spirit. And I know, as a mom, it's kind of it is my fault that I didn't teach him the way I did, because I spoiled him so much. And now I'm kind of going through this process of, getting him the help. And I know that, they have a tendency to want to put labels on our children when they become young. Oh, they're autistic, or these different things. And it's like, man, I watch my child every day. I watch my baby every day, and you can't sit here and tell me that my child has problems learning, because I watch him every day. And I just hate that they try to put these labels. But I've been kind of observing the school system, and just like you done become a part of the school board, that's something that I kind of thought about doing as well, because I'm like, there's no way y'all could just take these kids and put labels on them.
Yes.
You can't do that.
Yes.
You cannot do that, especially our Black children, because I understand a lot of Black parents are not as active, but me, I'm very active. I changed my entire life. I've stopped the 9 to 5 thing just because of my kids, because I didn't have consistent babysitters and things like that. So your story is empowering, because like I said, that just people judging my son, because he is a little delayed in learning, but he's getting there. And I said, with the right coaching, with the right people around, he'll get there. But I'm not gonna put a label on my son. And I love that, the affirming, making sure your children are affirming themselves as well, and teaching them that affirmation, because just because somebody put a label on you don't mean you have to accept that. So
That
I
part.
really love that. I thank y'all so much. I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. As you were talking, and I know you mentioned like, you spoiled your kid, and there's some things that you wish you could have done differently. But I just want to say, like, we're not perfect parents, right? I'm not a perfect mom. I make a lot of mistakes, and I apologize all the time. Okay.
Yeah.
But we're progressing, right? Like, there's things that we got to unlearn because we learned these things from our parents or whatever the case may be. And I'm doing this thing, differently from my mom. And, so I just want to say you are doing the best you can. And I think if you can join a school board, that would be great, because even the board that I'm on, I'm the only Black female on that board. And this school is majority Black kids, right? So they need someone there to speak for them.
Absolutely.
And so I definitely just want to encourage you and just say you are doing the best you can. And I know your son sees that, but keep fighting for him. And we have to use our voices for our kids, right?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much.
Appreciate you
Thank you,
too.
Sonia. And then I'm going to honor what I said. So last person to come on the stage is Alexis. After Alexis, we're going to have to move on to the journaling session, but there'll definitely be opportunity to share your reflections. Neff is going to lead that. Alexis, the mic is yours, mama.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll keep it quick. I resonated so much with your story, Nicole, because we actually moved from Phoenix to Houston. And I literally just got off of a call from my daughter's school in Houston from an amazing school counselor who is Black. And my child is coming from a situation where she was the only child of color in her classroom, and I often felt guilt because I always wanted to keep my kids in the most affluent schools and the most affluent areas, because I felt like they were going to get the best education there. And, I'm having to learn to give myself grace, because I've kicked myself now, because now she's made this huge transition, as a result of stuff that happened personally with me and her father. And she's struggling hard. And so thank you for telling your story, and thank you for some of the gems that you dropped. I know that I will continue to try to do better at affirming her. And, I try my hardest not to invalidate her feelings whatsoever. And it's draining on me because she's very, very, very emotional. But
I can relate.
I definitely want to thank you so much. And this day has been so emotional in general. So thank you so much for
Thank
that.
you. Thank you, Casey.
I say, and Nicole, if you want to say anything back to Alexis, take up space. I promise. No
Oh, I'm
press.
sorry. Okay. No, I appreciate you, Alexis, and just sharing your story too. I can relate, right? And I've been there with my oldest daughter, and just I think it takes time, right? And just continue to speak life into her. Also, just be an example too, right? I've had to learn, like, and with my oldest, she's 11, and she's a lot mature for her age, but sometimes I feel like I expect certain things of her, and it's like she's still a kid, allow her to be a kid, Nicole. So I have to tell myself that all the time. Like I said, y'all, I'm always apologizing to my kids because I'm not perfect. So, but just showing her love too, giving her hugs and kisses and all that stuff I didn't get as a kid, right? I think that's also important. And just speaking life into them. Like, it's so important that we just continue to speak life into them. And if they know that they are worthy, they are valuable, they don't need validation from anybody else. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you, Alexis. Thank you so much, Nicole. Nicole, you are beyond amazing. Again, I don't even have the words, but I'm okay with that. I'm learning to be okay with that because the body knows. I'm sure you can feel me even continents away. Thank you so much for pouring into us and saying the things that we didn't even know we needed today. Sis, I honor you. I honor you.
Thank you.
You are
Thank you.
welcome.
I'm looking forward to this wind down though.
Yeah. We're about to get into it. We're about to get into it. All right, y'all. So right now, we are about to go into the final segment of the day, which will be led by none other than Neff McGriff, Nefertiri McGriff, but I call her Neff. And the topic for today is attachment. Okay. And the whole purpose of this, just to get us prepped for this, you need to grab your pens and your paper, okay? The whole purpose of this is to help you process what you just experienced, right? It's not enough to experience this stuff and it's all jumbled, and then you go back into stepping on top of it and moving over it and not going through it. The only way through it is through it. That's healing, bruh. The only way through it is through it, because when you climb on top of it and you run around it and you crawl under it, it's still there. And wherever you are, there you will be. I've gotten on planes and went very, very, very far away. And everywhere I went, there I was when I got there. Every time. Right? And so the last few years have been heavy healing, and healing is a slow and soft process. It is so slow and it is so soft. Right? And I'm still in the thick of it. So Neff is here to help us expertly unpack these feelings, put vocabulary to them, allow us to, move it through our bodies. Okay. So definitely join us there. It'll be 30 minutes today. So about half the time it was yesterday. So literally bring your pens and your pencils. We're going to follow Neff's flow. But I'll see y'all on the other side. Love and light. Peace. All right, Neff.
Hey, what's going on?
Everything.
All right, so I know we have a shorter time today, so we're going to get right into it. If you are in a place where you can participate in this very brief exercise, please do that, because we have listened to a lot and tension does build up in our bodies. So very quickly, not an expansive range of motion, but just turn your head from side to side very slowly, like so. And when you do that, I want you to notice if either part of your neck has less range than the other. So 1 or 2 times, turn from side to side, and then something is going, so I'm going to ask you to keep your face forward, but curve your eyes as far to the left as you can. And we're going to hold this I know it's uncomfortable. And now we're going to release it. And so look back to the center, blink 2 or 3 times. Now, keeping your head straight again, look as far to the right as you can. And we're going to hold that for a few seconds. I know it's uncomfortable. Okay, now we're going to release it. Blink a couple times. Now, turn your neck again and see if the range is a little bit better. See if your range, see if some of that tension has left your neck. See if, yeah. You like that, don't you, girl? So
you're a magician.
So if you ever feel like, there's a lot of tension, because a lot of times we carry tension in our neck, especially being in front of computers and sitting down most of the day. Whenever you feel like there is something, that is kind of caught up in your neck, go ahead and do that. And so I wanted you all to just kind of enjoy that a little bit, to kind of get you ready ready to release whatever it is that you need to release, and be able to focus on the task at hand, so you're not too much worried about the range of motion in your neck. So usually when we talk about, or when we hear attachment, especially for my clinical folk, we usually think about the attachment styles, like the anxious attachment style, avoidant, secure. We're not going to do that today. This is totally different route. So in your journals, and this is all about us. This is all about us, because we talked about being comfort able. We talked about pain of purpose. We talked about blessings becoming burdens. We talked about weak ass advice. Okay. So this is about us. It's not about parents. It's not about jobs. It's about us. This is inner reflection. So on your paper, write down I am, and then insert your name after that. So for example, I would write down I am Nefertiri. Once you've done that, list at least 5 traits of who you are, but really dig deep with this one. At least 5. You can come up with more than that, but really dig deep. Now, as you wrap up your list, just kind of glance over them, because I want you to realize that these are the attachments that you have created for your life. These are the attachments that you have created for your life. So do not go back and change anything. You were led to write them for a reason, so let it stay. So usually what gives attachment strength is conditional love. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. Attachments get their strength from conditional love, and that isn't always a bad thing, but it becomes a bad thing when we lose awareness of our authentic selves. So think about it. Your attachment, you wrote down the list because there's some kind of condition that you know you've met, or some kind of condition, there's some kind of conditional love that you have for yourself that made you choose those traits. And that's fine again, but it becomes a bad thing when we lose awareness of our authentic selves. And so that leaves room for infiltration by other people's belief systems that we have subscribed to, and it becomes our voice. So when you look in the mirror each day, do you see those traits that you just described? If not, write down, what do you see? When you look in the mirror each day, do you see the traits that you described? If not, please be transparent with yourself and write down what you actually see. And this isn't just about physical appearance either. If you actually see what you have described, perfect. That's great. Don't give me that look, Casey. Okay. Next, I need you to write down what voice have you given your thoughts that describe what you see? What voice have you given your thoughts that describe what you see? Is it a soft voice? Is it demeaning? Is it critical? Is it forgiving? Is it coming from a place of tough love? Is it rough? Describe that voice. Because the voice is like the narration of your thoughts. Next, I want you to think about, have you ever felt the need to meet an expectation to be worthy of your own love? Have you ever felt the need to meet any kind of expectation to be worthy of your own love? Have you ever felt the need to meet an expectation to be worthy of your own love? So our attachments to the beliefs about self-acceptance, or even who we have defined ourselves to be, will become the norm. And we accept them as a part of who we are. And again, just know this isn't about physical appearance. So with that being said, what beliefs are you attached to that drive the way you see things in your life? Not anybody else's life, but your life. What beliefs are you attached to that drive the way you see things in your life? What beliefs are you attached to that drive the way you see things in your personal life? Next, think about if the beliefs that you have just identified, are they your beliefs, or have you adapted those beliefs from someone else? Are they your beliefs, or did you get them from someone else? Yes, they can be both yours and theirs. It can. Yep. However it fits your life. Now, out of those beliefs, whether it's yours, whether it's theirs, identify one of those that you promise to yourself that you will detach from in the next 6 months, that you will adamantly work on to detach from in the next 6 months. Nicole, we can like our beliefs, but are our beliefs healthy? Is it an attachment that makes us feel like we're not worthy of self-acceptance? But if your beliefs don't hit on that, then you're fine. But if they are an unhealthy attachment that you have, then, because beliefs can make us feel safe, but when we really look at the volume of safety, is it practical for us? Is it appropriate? Lastly, so the question for the journal prompt, Cheryl, it was one attachment that you described, whether it's your belief or someone else's belief, one attachment or one belief that you will detach from within the next 6 months, one that you pledge to intentionally work on to detach from. So lastly, I am confident that releasing this attachment will improve my quality of life by. I am confident that releasing this attachment will improve my quality of life by, and you fill in the blank. This is your way. This is your why. This is hopefully the purpose of you saying, okay, I have recognized that this is a belief that I want to detach from, and so I need to release this because my life will be so much better in this way. And naturally, everything on that list, those beliefs that you feel like you are attached to, one by one, go down that list. Because again, our attachment to beliefs about self-acceptance, if it's negative, even though we feel like it motivates us, but if it's negative, it becomes our norm. So we can blame social media, we can blame, whatever, but realistically, nothing has power over us unless we agree with the message. So anything that you find yourself attached to that is not serving you, even if it's a great relationship and you're still holding on to memories, but you have no space, no capacity, that's an attachment. But I wanted to make sure we kept it inner. This is about us. This is about what we see in ourselves. This is about being able to make space to be better. We're not holding on to things that don't belong to us, even if we gave it to ourselves. So remember, nothing has power over you unless you agree with its message. So I'm going to give the floor to you, Casey, if you have any feedback or if anybody wants to.
Girl, you messed me up. Okay, you messed me up. What? You good? Okay, you got to take this on the road now. You good? You good, girl? Woo! Okay, so I just want to share my reactions, and Aaliyah has her hand raised. I'm gonna let her come up and say whatever she wants to say. Because I'm actually enjoying this. I feel like I'm vulnerable, but clearly, I mean, my therapist wouldn't say I'm vulnerable. My therapist, she done worked hard, y'all, over the last 6 years, child. Okay, so, okay, when you said to write 5 things that describe me, I said, I am Casey, a protector, a teacher, a leader, deeply passionate. I am an artist / creative.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you said that these are attachments, can be attachments or these attachments can get their strength from conditional love, it messed me up immediately, because all of these things are born out of my need to feel safe and respected and viewed as something worthy. And these are the things that people had the good connotation. Somebody said connotations earlier, like it has everything to do with how other people see me, right? Because I was the A student, I was the valedictorian of all of my schools, elementary, middle, high, and I'm still trying to unlearn that mess. Mm-hmm. Then when you said, sis, come on now, you got to take this on the road, sis. Then when you said, when you look in the mirror, what do you see? How would you describe yourself? Immediately, without thinking, I said sensitive, fragile, seeking, learning, blooming. Completely different. But when I look in the mirror, that is what I see. I see how soft I am and how much protecting I need, and how fine of a line there is between me being broken, depressed, anxious, stressed, right, and me being whole. It's a very fine line. My baby knows that. Like, he works overtime to protect me, even from myself, But the world sees me as a warrior, right? And then I'm almost done, Aaliyah. I'm about to pass you the mic, sis. And then when you said, what voice do I speak to myself, or what voice do I hear? I said soft and loving. 100%. It is so soft and loving, which is deep, because the way I show up when I'm protecting people and caping hard for people and standing in the gap for people is very, very bold. It's very assertive. I do not flinch,
Mm-hmm.
But the voice I hear in my head is way softer about myself, right? Just deep. Then when you said, have I ever felt the need to meet an expectation to be worthy of love? Absolutely. All caps, yes. Girl, yes. What beliefs am I attached to that drives the way I see things in my life?
Worthy of your own love, though.
Worthy of my own love. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm talking about, even when I left that dude, like, I know I was doing the right thing, but I was mad at myself for years for choosing him. But it's like, now I'm at, like, girl, you were 16. Girl, what are you talking about? Right? Like, yes. Like, there was so much self-loathing. I wanted to die. I literally didn't even feel like, I was like, if I could be this stupid, why am I here? What is the purpose of living? So I can just keep making dumb decisions. I was so, girl, like, what is the point? I really felt like that, right? Don't feel like that today, but yes, definitely been there. What beliefs am I attached to that drives the way I see things in my life? Productivity, hierarchy, scarcity, dominance, evolution, connectedness. And the last two are who I am, right? Like evolving, right? And the first four, which is your next question, are these my beliefs or did they come from someone else? Yes, somebody else. It was productivity, hierarchy, scarcity, dominance, like 100%. And evolution and connectedness is mine. Like I realize I'm connected to the soil and the air and the. I mean, it's deep, deep. It ain't no scarcity in it, right? Identify one that I'm determined to like detach from over the next 6 months, productivity. And then lastly, I am confident that I can't read my own handwriting, but I am confident that releasing this attachment will improve my quality of life by giving me rest, peace, a clear mind, mental health, a free and safe relationship, and the ability to be present. Thank you so much, sis. I feel so good. I'm so proud of myself. I appreciate you. I'm bringing the Leah
Good.
up now. We can hear you, Aaliyah.
Okay, hey everybody.
Hey.
I said I am Aaliyah, and I thought of creative, soulful Sunday, intriguing, contagious, powerful. And then when you said the conditional love gives attachment strength, and what do I see when I look in the mirror? I thought of nakedness, fragility, and pain, sad, depth, power, resilience, and art. And it says, what voice have I given my thoughts that describe what I see? I said, I have given it a shaky voice, a childlike voice, sort of soft, not very assertive, but firm, sometimes timid even. And it says, have you ever felt the need to meet an expectation to be worthy of your own love? I said, yes, all the time. I'm still learning how to just love me as I am in every aspect of my life. And it says, what beliefs am I attached to that drives the way I see things in my life? I said that mistakes are who I am, not what I did. And then my second one was, I must die empty of all that God has placed inside of me. And that, but my second belief is something that came from me, from knowing God for myself and figuring out my spiritual journey on my own. But I said the first belief of um, the mistakes are who I am, not what I did. It probably came from my childhood, from my past relationship, my past friendships, my family condemning me so much when I do things or when I have shortcomings. And then I said, I promise to detach myself from that belief. And I am confident that releasing this attachment will improve my quality of life by allowing more love, healing, rest, tears, and joy into my life. I am not stuck in cycles of punishment or condemnation. I deserve great things. I deserve light. And I am worthy of great things coming from me, and to stop being surprised when great things come from me. And then I also wrote down your point that nothing has power over me unless I agree with the message. So I said all of the message that I don't agree with, stop giving them power, because I feel like a lot of things that are in my head I don't necessarily agree with anymore, but I still give them power because you be like, oh, it's been that way for so long. So it's like to unlearn those things is like an active thing I'm learning. That's an everyday choice to remind myself like that's not true. You don't even believe that about yourself. Like I can write affirmations every day, and if my grandma or my mama or somebody say some one little thing to me, it'll stick on me all day, and it'll be like, now why you let them people bust your bubble and you just build it up, you know, to stop letting other people throw a rock and crumble it. Be more solid in what I'm learning about myself, what I believe and love about myself. So I definitely thank you for providing this space for me to release that. I'm really big on journaling, so I appreciate that. So I'm trying to make that no longer my burden.
There it is. There it is. Thank you so much, Aaliyah, for, sharing that, because I know there's quite a few of us that have family members that will say one thing and we know in our heart of hearts it's not truth, but we still allow it to, and because we gave it that power, we believe some little tiny iota of it because we've been programmed to believe that. So the fact that you voiced yourself, even though you say you have a very shy, timid, your voice that you hear is very shy and timid, but right now, speaking through your truth, it was very assertive and firm. So please congratulate yourself on that. Please do.
Thank you so much, Aaliyah. So good. We did it, sis. Girl, you bad. Let me tell you something. Girl, I didn't know how you was gonna do this in 30 minutes after what we did for an hour yesterday. You good. You good.
Well, I appreciate you.
That girl bad, y'all. Woo woo. All right. Well, this was powerful. I want to make sure that we usher y'all into the Buy Black Market, usher y'all into the lounge where y'all can kick back and cool it with each other. You do not have to go home. This is not closed at all. It will stay open 24/7 until Friday. So really not 24/7, 24/5. Okay. But Neff, as we leave, I want to ask you one question which came from Alyssa. I'm going to ask the tail end of it. She essentially describes the fact that she assumes maybe that many of us might have written down traits that define ourselves in terms of what others, right, or in terms of what we do for others, right, versus just how we see ourselves. And she wants to know what that means for those who've done that, right? So if we wrote down traits that are anchored in what we do for others.
Okay. So usually, so now getting actually into attachment style, that is where you could find, okay, if you are anchored in such servitude all the time, then that means who you are outside of that really needs some nurturing. Because if you automatically go to what you do for others or what you think others have described you as, then that's where majority of your energy is spent. That means that takes a little bit more of a priority in your life than it should, because I get it when people ask us to describe ourselves, especially if we've gone on job interviews and we feel like we have to sell ourselves, and it's hard to say great things about ourselves. But that I would suggest that being the norm of you thinking of you, because that is a part of self-care. That is a part of self-preservation and self-inclusion.
Yeah. Ashe. Thank you so much for that, Neff. You all make sure you go to the booth. I'm just gonna say the top 3. It ain't over. 15 people will win, but the top 3 on the leaderboard right now. Don't be mad at me, but Tiffany holding it down. Okay, she has a 2,000 point lead, a little more than that. Tiffany Brown. Sharita has slid into number 2, and then Winnie Quick is number 3. Keep going, y'all. 5 days, 15 spots will win. Some folks have started broadcasts in their booth. So Women Who Matter Too, y'all, we love us some Auntie June. Go over there and check her out. She is super, 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 super dope. That's the Women Who Matter Too booth. It looks like NPO Creations has started a live broadcast. She makes a lot of dope things. I'm talking about fedoras and bags and art and all kinds of super dope things. New Heritage has started a live broadcast. They have 90s gear. Super dope story with her. I also met her at the Fearless Fun Summit a couple of months ago. Her business was started by her family members in the NYC area, right, with 90s gear. And it was like booming. Literally did it for the culture in a very big way. And she picked it up. I think it was her uncle's business. She picked it up recently and she brought it back, still, giving homage to 90s gear. So love her story, love what she's doing. Check her out. But yeah, y'all enjoy, y'all have a good time. Some people made a table for the VAs for 5:30. So, enjoy. I'll holler at y'all. Ness, you got anything else you want to say, Mama?
Hey, we always say Black girl magic, so let's be that. Let's be it.
Ashe.
Y'all have a good night.
Yeah, Yvonne, said good night. Yeah, I'm going to bed. It's 1 a.m. for me, so I'm going to bed. But y'all have a good time. Love and light to y'all. See y'all tomorrow morning. Bye. Peace.